Can you hear that?
What is that? Are you keeping someone hostage?
No, no. It's the music video, so it has "Wake Up" yelling, and then it kicks into it.
It doesn't. It doesn't sound like music to me. It sounds like someone desperately screaming for help.
Does it sound like music now?
Now it sounds like clipped music for me, but yeah,
But it's still pretty clippy.
yeah, for me, from what I can.
Okay, well then I will not subject everybody to clippy music. Hey everybody. So this is me, Zero Rimpson, and below me or beside me, depending on how I edit this, is Aaron Chase. We decided to start this podcast where we essentially talk about topics from both of our perspective, which I know sounds like a very generic premise for a podcast, but I see a lot of faith in it. I have a lot of faith in it because Aaron has a perspective. We kind of work in this yin yang way where I'm very optimistic and naive, and he's very pessimistic realist. I'm still in like my young to mid late 20s, and you said you're 28, 29?
Yeah. Wait, why aren't you saying your age? How old are you?
Because I'm like, I'm like a young 28. I'm like a young 20. No, I'm about to turn 20, 27, 26. August 13th is my birthday.
We got a
But
heart.
this is just, oh, go ahead.
We got a heart. Someone put a heart.
Yeah, thanks you. I assume that came from one of your people because
Hey, Carol. Yo, she came to the improv show. She saw you.
oh,
Yeah.
appreciate the support. So
Yeah.
this is a podcast that we're doing where we're gonna start talking on here. We're gonna try to do it. Um, we're gonna do it on here on Fridays, and then try to have an uploaded one on Saturdays. That's the current plan. Don't hold
Yeah.
us to it yet, but that is the plan, and we're gonna try to stay consistent, given that we're
Oh,
all
it's gonna
inside.
be on. It's gonna be on the Buddy System YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
So
Uh,
go check that out. But this is the origin episode, is what I'm going with it. What we're doing right now is we're gonna explain. No, it was me. We met at Pomona Loud, friend. Oh, right. No, you're right. No, that is one of my people. Yeah. No. Okay. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for coming out.
we're gonna
We're
have we're gonna mix our fan base.
Yeah, because a lot of our that's another reason why I think this will work is because me and Aaron, while we do go different branches on the tree, our main base tree of what I've been defining as like black nerd is pretty much the same. And
We're
so
really
like I think we believe there's a lot of crossover. So if you like me, the odds are you're gonna like Aaron. If you like Aaron, the odds are you're gonna like me. But this is the origin episode. We're gonna get into all that. We're gonna get into our perspectives on life and all that stuff. But first, you got to get to know us. So we're going to tell you our origin story, starting from when we were wee tots to how we got to where we are. We're going to try to chunk it and make it fit within this hour because luckily for us, Instagram Live keeps you to doing an hour because otherwise I feel like between the two of us, we would end up talking forever. So we're going to start. Aaron had a great idea. Do you want to start or should I?
I'll start.
Okay, so we're going to hit these in chunks. So
Yeah. Childhood, basically.
Mhm.
I grew up in Riverside, which is like a really conservative white area in Southern California. I grew up with I got a heart, maybe. I grew up with,
Take them where you get them.
yeah, I'll take any sort of,
Yes, smash that heart button. We need some appreciation. As comedians, our self-esteem needs. Go ahead.
I grew up in Riverside, and I was always the only black kid, and it was very evident with how people behaved with me and treated me. I don't know the first time you got called a nigger. Do you remember?
I've really never been called. I've gotten it adjacently. Like
Uh-huh.
what I've gotten is like somebody when I was actually that's skipping ahead, but high school, somebody spray painted on the rock behind my house the N word. But
Nice.
like I've never really been called it to my face. Or if I have, it's either I either blocked it out or that somebody might have done it. Like you know how you have the white friend who feels like they're comfortable with you, and so they
Yep.
say it because they're like, oh, he's the cool black one, or he won't beat me up, or I could take him if he wants to. Like
Yeah.
that type of energy. It was like that, and I've probably had, but yeah, that's the closest. I haven't had it be like you
for me, it was not all the time. It wasn't like the 60s, but it was the 90s. So my first time I got called a nigger, I was probably like 7 or 8. And it was by the dad of a neighborhood kid who didn't want me to play with his kid.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
that's like lifetime movie racist.
yeah, man. I've been dealing with rape my entire life. So elementary school, I went to a private school, but it was like a scam private school. There was
Okay.
maybe, yeah. We all of the most of the teachers were just people that immigrated from the Philippines, and I don't think they had degrees. So I was being taught, what do you call a black and white horse? Get ready for the word nigger to come up.
A zebra. A zebra.
A zebra? That would be a much less dark way to look at it.
See, and this is us as a whole. Like you go to like, okay, racism's coming, and I went to like the clean. Oh, it's like a zebra.
So elementary school, I went to this like this private school. It was really hey,
I was right.
you're right.
Yeah, buddy.
My
Harrison.
soul is broken because of my neighbors. But in elementary school, I went to the predominantly white high school or elementary school, and I was always watching television and movies. My family wasn't big on showing affection in any way. They're from the East Coast, and my mom is weird and crazy. Um, and
Good night,
um,
Harrison.
yeah, and so the best way I would describe it is that my mom loves me, but she doesn't like me. So,
Okay.
so that translates
I've,
very
I've heard you describe that before, and it's very interesting to interject mine. I have the opposite. My
uh,
mom, my mom loves me and really loves me. Like she's one of those. It's like she really truly believes that I am a gift in her life, and I'm like, hey, if you say so, lady, I will take it. I will take it. She's like, yeah, you show me things and like the way you talk and like you were so this and that and like you were a very good little baby. And I was like, well, good. I never was, again, I wasn't a bad kid because I don't like being in trouble overall. Like I don't like punishment. I don't like being grounded. I don't like being spanked. I don't like any sort of pain emotionally or physically. So in a way that mine could be seen as being a good kid, there's the other side of it where I toe the line. I do what I'm told, and like I don't push up against that too much. But that is interesting. As
yeah.
for you said your schooling was in a fake private school.
It was a private school. The positives of going to a school like that is such a small community, and there is community within that. The problem is when you're the only black kid, usually, that community isn't your community. You stand out immediately, and then I would go home. So like I would go to school. That wasn't a safe place for me. I wasn't happy there, and I hated school. Then I would go home, and that was also not a safe place for me. I wasn't happy there. I hated home. I just hated life. So
Okay.
as a little kid, I just kind of went into art, specifically movies, television, and cartoons, and that was like my escape. That was
Okay.
basically elementary school for me.
Were video games a part of that escape for you?
Mm-mm.
No? That's
They
interesting.
they were boring to me.
Okay. See, mine's was they weren't an escape, they were just more stimulating than other people. Like like
Yeah.
as a little kid, I used to again my I don't know if my mom didn't force me into it, but like I used to go outside. I used to do stuff outside. I used to play tag, used to play sports, all the stuff. Classic, try to climb a tree. I could never climb a tree. I was always impressed with any kid that knew how to climb a tree, but for some reason I couldn't figure out how to balance my foot on it. But like I never got that. So like I was the type classic old school kid, even though also born in the 90s. I would go over to my neighbor's house, knock on the door, be like, "Hey, can so and so come outside?" And then they'd be like, "Sure," and they'd send because I was next door to like in the same way that yours. I was next door to a ghetto gay daycare where it's like friends of friends and neighbors all dropped their kids off at this lady's house, and a couple of her kids like were there, and then every other kid there was just neighborhood kids that came and she took care of us. and like pretty much she would sit us in front of the TV. She would get us lunch, and I think she had us like learn one thing every day, and then that was essentially it. I remember losing my first. I think I lost like my first three baby teeth there. And I remember because I have a childhood memory that's so cartoony. That's like, I remember Christmas was around the corner. I lost my front two teeth. And I remember the kids did that circle around me thing. And they're like, all I want for Christmas is my two front teeth. And I was like, well,
That's bullshit, man. That's weird.
Like, that happened. And I don't remember being sad about it, but when I tell that story, I feel like I should have been sad about it. But like overall, that was a great place. I loved that daycare. All of my friends were there, like, and it was literally next door to my house. So I was never really bored or without kids. But then on the other side, so if the daycare's on this side, on the other side, there was this slightly older kid who had video games. And he introduced me to video games, and that's when these went out the window. like I just kept trying to go over to his house to play Sega Genesis, to play Sonic. But yeah.
For me, the video games thing, it was like I had this desire to create things and be artistic, but it was the 90s and I was a black kid, so I had to play basketball. And don't get me wrong, I do appreciate that. You know, like there's something to be said about putting a kid in sports and having them learn physical stuff. Yeah. I think that's important. But it was like I was actively being pushed away from everything that I was very vocalizing. Like I was saying, I want to do this. I want to be an actor. I want to write. I want to be funny. I remember, this is going to be sad. Get ready.
Okay, right.
I remember.
Buckle up, boys and girls. Aaron's got a sad story.
That was my university experience and church experience in Pomona and Azusa Pacific, Aaron. I felt so different than my community as a Latina. This is why I'm so open, is I didn't for a long time. Thank you. I don't know your Chalsea.
Yeah, it's so hard to pronounce people's usernames.
Yeah, but thank you. This is why I'm so open about it, is because for a long time I didn't realize, like, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm on an island alone. And this is just pure, this is what I experience and no one else is experiencing this. And then the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, oh shit, other people. Shalisa, I love sad stories. Hey today. All right, get ready for a sad story. So I was.
Sounds like Shalisa. Chelsea. We all understand Chelsea.
Yeah. So I remember a cartoon was on. I want to say like Looney Tunes was on, and I was being silly. I was like, I'm so cute and fun. And I had my favorite blanket. I was like Linus. I had my favorite blanket. It was this yellow blanket with like floral print. And I was in the blanket. And I was like, I'm in the trenches. Mom, I'm so funny and cute. And I'm in the living room. And my mom, I don't know what happened or why she got mad. But she yelled at me and she said, Aaron, stop it. You're not funny.
Oh. Oh.
And then I remember, like, you know when the blanket's wrapped around your neck and you can only see your head come out? Yeah. I remember wrapping it around my body and then, like, slowly slinking out of the living room into my room and sitting and just being like, I guess I'm not funny. Like,
poor buddy.
Yeah. That was like I really want to. Who's the cutie pie you're talking? That's Zero. He is the.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not my best right now. I woke up like this. I try
to catch up people who are just tuning in. We're making a podcast. Zero and I are very similar but different. We have a yin and yang vibe. I'm a pessimist. He's an optimist, and we're making a YouTube show. So we're doing, this is our intro, this is our origin story. We're giving
like a pilot. It's really rough, but we're figuring it out. Hello, yeah. Father Nene.
Don't worry about her, she's great. But either way, so so I was at a young age, I'm now learning how to joke because at a young age I was told not to.
Yeah. How long would you say you held on to you're not funny? Like that moment for you? Like, did you just stop trying up to that point, or did you keep just like?
I kept going because I don't. There's something wrong with me. Like I don't have an option.
That premise. but okay.
What?
I disagree with that premise.
Well, thank you.
I don't think something's wrong with you. I think you're just an amalgam, and we've talked about this. And this is what the show will be. You
Yes.
and me are the same, given totally different situations. I
Yeah.
had that story was so I had here's my version of that story. You remember that episode of SpongeBob where they get inside the box and they pretend to have imagination and stuff?
Yeah.
I did that. Like I saw that episode, I went out to my garage, I got a leftover box from a TV that my mom was like, it's still in the garage for some reason. And then I got in the box and I closed it over the top of myself so my head was poking out. And I
Yeah.
was like, just sat inside of the box. And I was just like, any moment now, all of it's going to activate. And I was like, just in the box. And then my mom was just like, she just let me be that. It was just like, yeah, he's having fun. And then I just like continue. And that's my entire life is me getting to just do silly, stupid stuff. And my mom going, he's having fun. And then other people are along for the ride and they like it.
I had the exact opposite experience.
Yeah.
So like, it never stopped me from being me.
Mm-hmm.
It like, what would end up happening is I would try to adapt my personality to situations so that like I wasn't interrupting people, I wasn't bothering people, I wasn't annoying people. My whole goal, hey, she loves boxes.
I mean, how could you not?
But my whole goal in life was like, okay, how can I be me without disrupting other people? Like I didn't want to bother people, but I also had this personality that was big and vibrant. And when you put someone like that in class, in like bubbling answers all day, like you lose your mind. And so I would act out, I would be loud. And so
that's interesting. You know what's crazy about that is I didn't get that, but I went the opposite way. So like I was never like nobody. Okay, so it's weird. I also didn't want to be a bother to people, but it wasn't because everybody was telling me I was a bother. It was because I just I knew that it felt like happy flexing. And I wanted to bring people along with me. Like, I'm happy. I want you to be happy with me. But then I could tell that people weren't necessarily on the same track as me. So I would pull it back some. But like, even the some that I would pull it back would still come through. But I would come across as like, I'm on me. I'm on my tip. And like, if people are down, they're down. Like, it's this weird introvert, not introvert energy.
See, I think what happened for me is that it like
Nice.
thanks. I think had I been myself, had I not cared about other people and not bothering them, I would have come off far more likable. But because I was thinking about their feelings and their thoughts, I came off completely unlikable to a lot of people. Yeah. And that was all of elementary school. I would do weird shit. I would get told I wasn't funny. I was black. I looked different.
You know, the top three.
Yeah.
You're not funny, you're black, and you're annoying.
Yeah, basically. And so I never got positive reinforcement. So, but at the same time, and this is what's weird for me, is that my person, I couldn't make it stop. I still can't make it stop. I don't want, in many ways, I don't want to be me. I would love to be like, I got a job. I think I told you this.
Okay.
I got a job and basically I'm going to be a behavioral health therapist for autistic kids.
That's great.
The self-awareness to know what was happening. Yeah, I didn't understand. I didn't have that self-awareness. And so so for instance, today in this job, we're in this teleconference. They're teaching us how to deal with autistic kids. When were you dislikable? Like back then, Carol, salted caramel. People dislike. I know, like, I think you're cool with me, so thank you again for coming out. People dislike me, like, a lot, and they're very vocal about it. As we continue our life story, you'll hear some stories. But I'm a very unlikable person to a certain type of person. But I'm in this teleconference, and I'm losing my mind because I'm bored. I'm uninterested. I care about the topic, but I don't care about the 125-page PowerPoint I'm so bored.
Yeah.
and it doesn't work for me. And so I I don't know where I was going. Why was I talking about this?
You were bringing up how you you recently okay I okay the last I got to go backwards. So you said you were in a teleconference for autistic kids. Before that, you were talking about how you were in elementary school, you never got positive reinforcement, that kept you to yourself, but you can't help it. You can't help being what you
That
are. In some ways you wish you weren't.
I was sitting in that teleconference losing my shit. Like I was rocking back and forth. I no joke, the things we learned in the conference meeting, I was like, holy shit, I exhibit traits of autism, like real traits of autism. So I'm gonna actually get diagnosed for that when all this coronavirus shit is done. But
Yeah.
like I'm losing my shit. I can't handle it. And I want so bad to be like them. While those people have the problem, not those people that you are the one, these dislikable people I've met. There's so many. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
People like you.
Oh, shucks. You'll hear some stories though. I'm gonna be an unlikable fuck in these stories.
It's like like it's hit and miss. It depends on. Again, I also have stories where I'm not the greatest guy, but like yeah, some people like me, and that's the weird thing to me. I don't know if as again we're skipping way ahead, but I don't know if as you've grown and all this stuff, you kind of learn it's all so subjective that
Yeah.
it's like you could be like people liked Hitler, like that, and that's weird. Like that's weird. Like people, there were people who like that guy, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't know if you. This is an even weirder one. Is like your best friend. If your best friend came out as like a pedophile, you probably would still be friends with them. You'd be like, like I don't like that you do that. You need to get help. You try to get them help, but you're not gonna stop being friends with them.
I think there's a difference between a pedophile and a child molester.
Really?
Here, here's what I mean. Here's what I mean.
This is going that way, but we'll come back. I'm so interested to know what your difference is that I'm fine to go on this tangent.
We'll come back. We'll come back. But to me, a pedophile is a person who does not have the ability to control their attraction to someone that is too young, that is inappropriate. And a child molester is someone who acts on those impulses. So to me, a pedophile, don't get me wrong, is not okay. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that there's something wrong with it. In the same way that someone has schizophrenia, there's something wrong with this person. As long as they don't act out on the behavior and you can help them, then. And so I have this weird empathy thing in my head for people like that, where in my head, I can't control who I am. I just have no control over it. It just is. And
good segue.
Yeah, and thank you. If I had been given the right tools to love myself, to understand how to deal with whatever anxiety or depression I was dealing with, if I was given the right tools, I would have been able to move in this life in a way that wasn't so destructive to other people. You'll see what I mean in college in particular. And
somebody gave a heart to something, but it's so delayed that I can't tell if it's the loving yourself or the pedophile talk.
I hope it's a pedophile talk. I feel like that'd be funnier, but I doubt it.
You and me both.
Yes. But middle school, right? Do you want to go middle school?
Yeah, I'll start my middle school. Middle school for me was learning that I'm annoying funny, but like I like it and I don't care. Like it's like I learned literally middle school was like me learning the joke that if I keep doing the same joke over and over again, it will start to be hated, but then there's this weird bottoming out where it'll pop back up to being funny. Like, it doesn't matter what the joke is. If I just drive it into the ground, eventually it'll pop back up. So my friends had a love-hate with me where it was like, you're annoying, but you are funny. And like, you are funny. And so a lot of middle school was learning that. And then if I could make it into a meta thing, it's also, that's kind of how I interacted with people in general. It's just like everybody's like cool. Like again, at that point, I feel like I was playing it really safe. Like I didn't do anything to shake anybody the wrong way. I was very like nice kid that doesn't bother anybody. I'm a little annoying, but it's because I'm trying to be outgoing. I'm like, hey, how are you? Seen any good movies? Let's talk. But then like they'd be like, you're being annoying. I'm like, oh, am I being annoying? And then I would keep doing it until it's funny to me or people around me, but maybe not the person who's getting it.
Yeah.
As far as interactions from that, so friends were great. Again, made some of my best friends in that realm of my life, and because some people really did connect with that annoying energy. And then girls, which is going to be the main focal point of a lot of my stories. That's when I started, like, if elementary school was when I fell, as far as weird as this is going to sound, I feel like I clicked into, like, holy jeez, I really loved women. like I just really liked the girls that I had crushes on, to this, like, my soul deep, like, it hurts to hear them like another person. Like, the middle school turmoil of, like, a girl having a crush on a guy and you have a crush on her, I was feeling that in, like, third grade. And then by middle school, I was so shut off to all of that stuff that I was just like, don't, like, you can like her, but from a distance. Okay, try to say something. Try to say anything. Just a hello. Just a hello. And then I say, like, hi. And then I'd be like, okay, you did it. Good job. You did it. Freaking, you said hi. And then that would be me writing on that until the end of the year when it's time to write in notebooks. And then I would throw the Hail Mary of, like, can I get your phone number? And then I'd be like, yes, when I got that. And then I freaking just, annoyance when you're with your friends can pop back up into being cute and funny and hilarious. That same trajectory does not work with girl you like. And if you just keep calling her and keep asking her what she's doing and how life's going, it's not going to pop back up. She's just going to stop answering the phone. And then you're just going to be leaving a bunch of weird voice messages. So that was middle school.
I feel like middle school for me was, in this whole podcast, I think we found something, Zero, because this whole podcast is just going to be a twisted, darker, more sexual version of what you just said.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get there. We're halfway through the podcast and we're just getting to middle school. There's some chopping up. And again, that's what the podcast is for. We'll get more deep into those intricacies later down the line. And it'll be less, again, I feel like I'll be less stringent when we're not doing like, we're trying to we're kind of trying to condense, and with two people like us, which you can tell by the way that we talk, that it's kind of hard to rein it all in because everything is connected. And so, words.
Well,
go ahead with yours.
For middle school, I left my private school because I wanted to, and I wanted to go. I understood. I had this self-awareness of knowing, like, something is wrong. Even in elementary school, I knew, like, something is wrong. I couldn't articulate. As an adult, I look at it and it's like, oh, what was wrong was where I grew up was racially completely ridiculous. My family was.
Oh, by the way, my racial thing is black and white. Like, those were the predominant groups, and every other race was sprinkled in. That's just what background I grew up all the way from elementary school until I got to college.
Mine was white. Sprinkle of black people. There's a lot of Mexicans over there. There's a lot of Asians over there. That was kind of my upbringing. So, sorry, I heard a kid yell. Whatever, fuck him. So,
that's his problem. I'm trying to stay safe. Good luck, kid.
I'm not saving that kid. I don't know what he was doing.
If I ain't going out there, I don't know what you're up against.
Yeah. So for middle school, when it came to girls, that sexuality got turned up, and it started off very innocent. Like, yours came off kind of innocent and had this Dawson's Creek writing love letters vibe to it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I get very romantic for girls who are not about it, and that's why, again, you'll notice a lot of my bits are, like, essentially trying to justify for creeps because that was me. Is like, I really like her. I can't tell it's not reciprocated. So I just keep doing it until I'm like, oh, okay, I'm a weirdo. Got it.
I Okay, well, for middle school for me, it started off very innocent. That Lola Bunny joke, I don't know if you were around for that. Okay.
Little.
I would tell this joke. I haven't told it in a very long time, but basically, I would ask who your celebrity crush was, audience, back and forth. Then I would say my celebrity crush was
Oh,
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny. Yeah. No, I did. Yeah, Lola Bunny. I don't know why
Yeah.
I thought Lola Bunny. Yeah.
So it started off very innocent, like Lola Bunny and romance and whatever, Boy Meets World, all that stuff. And then over time, and I think part of this was I'm sure it's mom stuff, the way my mom treated me. That behavior went from very innocent and very loving to very sexual and very aggressive and dark.
Okay.
And it was only ratcheted up by my youth group. So I went to church throughout elementary school, and then my youth group became a really big part of me. But I'm going to say negative things. They were, yeah. You know my thanks, Jeanette. You know my feelings about God and all of that. You know where I stand on that.
I feel like you went over it recently. Yeah.
So to summarize it,
restate it for the people.
What?
Restate it for the people.
In a very, very short summary, I'm sure we'll get into it later in another episode. I have a very strong faith. I would describe myself as a Christian that other Christians don't like. In the same way that I'm a feminist that other feminists do not like. So I contradict a lot of the stuff. I don't like a lot of the concrete. I'm about to do sign language. I don't like a lot of the foundation that it's built upon, but the concepts and the theories and the ideas I think are very important and good and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So I'm in church. I'm in my youth group. First off, all white. All white.
I have a prediction given how you preface the story and what I understand about people.
Okay.
Was this youth group, for lack of a better term, freaky?
No.
Prudish. No. They were pretty prude?
Yeah.
Okay, that's surprising. In most of my...
I like Chelsea.
Look at Jesus flipped tables this week in my house, in his house. Yeah, for me, it's in my experience, I find that I mostly agree with you. Again, I'm also Christian. I rep Team Jesus, but mine's is like I go back and forth. There's stuff about my distinction is like the church house.
This is like, Jesus in sign language.
Oh, interesting.
The holes in the hands. The holes in the hands.
Oh, a lot of sign language is like exactly like it's like a freaking symbol, but I guess that makes sense. Okay, but for me, it's like I grew up Baptist, Christian, all the stuff. Again, I believe the stuff in the Bible, though there's a part of me that's like people wrote that, and there's some that starts to like conflict, and I'm very aware of those conflicts, and I'm very like the underlying messages of what Jesus was preaching. That's what I get down with. That's my thing. It's like, what would he do? That's what I imagine, and I don't imagine that he's the guy yelling on the corner at people, and I don't imagine he's the one judging them. Like I always go back to the classic joke of like that dude hung out with prostitutes and like taxes, like bad people. Like that dude was around people that you would definitely look down upon, and that was his whole thing. Was like, he's not better. We're not better. We're just all doing our best, and it'll be fine. And so, all the tenets of most religions. I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was you or my friend Dro, but like somebody.
Shouts out to Dro.
Yeah, Dro by the Key. He's a great producer. You guys could go look him up. Okay, all right. Okay, well, but yeah, the whole thing of like most religions, if not every religion, their baseline principle is pretty the same. Like, care about others, make sure you're not an absolute jerk, like just be a good person. My thing fell out. It's pretty obvious stuff. So like obviously the main tenets are all there. The reason I brought it all up again to loop it back into what you were saying, I was surprised because usually a lot of churches, a lot of religions have sexual repression, and like they push that energy down and it stacks up and eventually that stuff blows up. And
That's what
when it
happened
blows up, yeah, that's what I was like. I'm surprised you said the group wasn't freaky, because I'm used to hearing the story of, or the people I've run into is like, I was in the church and I was the best, most sanctified, non-touched person. And then they get free in college, and it's like, everybody, every hole, whatever. Like, I'll do anything.
That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I misinterpreted what you were saying, but yeah, it was repressed. It was pushed down a lot. And I was someone who questioned things. I was someone with an out there personality, and I was the only black person. So I was always the odd man out. So I questioned stuff that made no sense. Like when it came to gay people, I was always like, guys, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why do we give a shit? Or sexuality or masturbation. In my head, I was like, the instinct to do this is so strong. There's no way that God, in my head, there's no way that God would be like, here you go, have fun, deal with this forever, and don't do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't, in my head, it didn't make sense. Either way, so I was in this white church that was repressing me sexually. So that came out in a really big fashion as I got older. And then racially, it was fucking my head up because I was around only white people. Most of them had friends in law enforcement. And by middle school, I'm in this conservative area. I'm the only black kid. I'm getting fucked with cops all the time. I'm getting called a nigger since I was like a little kid. All the black people around me, all the family around me was like, look, watch out for this shit. And then I'd go to church, which were the closest people I had at that point, who were like, I don't see your issue. You're being really ridiculous, Aaron. And it was this, it fucks with your head. And then I would go into middle school. And then the way I grew up, my accent, I wasn't talking black enough for the black kids in middle school. But I was also super like, this was my Malcolm X era in my life. So I was super angsty and I was like, fucking white people and cops. And then the white people weren't fucking with me because they were like, I don't understand your issue, bro. It was like I had nobody. Nobody understood what the fuck I was saying at any point or time. Yeah. So that was middle school. And the church in particular really threw me off racially and sexually. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, as far as racially, I also was surrounded, like, it's just who I gravitated to was mostly the white kids. Like, the white kids just kind of clicked with my energy more just because of what they were into was what I was into. Like, we freaking read anime and we read manga and we listened to freaking pop punk or freaking System of a Down or just like My Chemical Romance. Like, that was most of them. Don't get me wrong, there were still some black kids like me, obviously. I think that was the difference. I had enough of both sides, and I just went to the side. Now, that's not to say that my white friends wouldn't say some stuff that was racially charged or like messed up in a certain regard, but they got it about as much as I got it, as much as they got it. Like, they would make black jokes, I would make white fat jokes or stupid jokes. Like, everybody, that was one of the things that I got very quickly as a kid, is that everybody's getting it. Like, I never got it so intensely. That's the thing. I never defined what happened to me as bullying at any point in my life because, A, it was never super intense. I never got called anything that was so bad. It wasn't consistent. There wasn't like a kids who would come up to me every day or like anything that was happening consistently. So I could, like, all the stuff that could happen happened so spread out. And it didn't feel like an attack. Like, and everybody was getting it from somebody else, that I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm getting bullied. It's like, no, this is just what happens to everybody. And as much as I'm getting it from this place, I'm also giving it to this person. And I took it more as like, this is us joking around. Like,
yeah. I have more to add then. I have more to add. I'm so sorry, Zero. Get ready to get dark.
We're fine. Okay. Let me put a pause. How long is this story? Because we got like 15 minutes and we haven't hit high school even.
It's going to be short. Do you want to just keep going? Then the live stream stops and we start up again and we edit them together?
Okay. Yeah, I guess we can do that.
Is it going to work? Because I'm not doing that work, so I don't know if that works.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, so when this is over, behind the scenes, and I might edit this out for those of you who are watching later on the YouTube, essentially what has happened when it hits an hour, it's gonna auto stop, or I can even call it a little bit before that just to give it the leeway that we'll stop it and then start it back up. That's when it'll give me a chance to download it. I'll download whatever video file that is, and then I can start it back up.
Thank you.
The person said they want to hear it. If everybody wants to hear it, then I guess I gotta give to the audience.
By everybody, you mean the 3 people that are watching right now?
Hey, listen, 3 is better than 0.
I would agree.
0 live streams.
So
here's what we'll do. We'll break it if this ends up cutting into. We'll make it into as long as it needs to be, since this is our first one. We'll make this just go all the way through, and I'll just smash them together.
So, you know how you're saying, like, we gave everyone shit. That's just what we did, and it was a game.
Yes.
For me, because my mom had been pushing away, my family had been pushing down, like, actively pushing down any sort of natural comedic talent I had, I didn't learn how to do that. I didn't learn the back and forth. I'm literally, as an adult, as a comedian, learning how to play the game now. Like, if you listen to enough of the podcast, you hear me talk about it, where I'm like, oh, okay, we're in game mode now, and I don't realize it sometimes. And so
I do notice that when I listen to you banter with some people, that at least in the podcast, that like there are moments they're joking with you, and I can feel it. Like, you got to turn it on. Like, you're like, oh, okay, we're okay. You're messing with me. Okay, this is the part where humans mess with each other. Here we go, messing with you back.
I didn't get it's so frustrating because now I didn't get those natural tools. So now I have to create the tools myself as an adult, figure out when it's happening, because it was coupled with a lot of real aggression, which I'm going to tell you a story about in a second that's racial, but it was coupled with very serious aggression. So if people were joking or people were giving me very serious aggression, I couldn't tell, and I'm going to assume serious for my own safety.
Right.
So like this is why I'm working on it. Just what I'm about to say, it's very mean. I'm working on it.
Everybody put your other seatbelt on. That's right. It's time for another Aaron story.
This is why I feel like I hate my mom so much.
Oh, okay.
Is because it was a fucking she did I know that she meant well, but she did everything in her power to take away any possible chance that I had in life. Like everything, every natural ability that I had, she stripped it away from me, and I was left out there in the wilderness naked, trying to fend for myself against other kids with sticks and shields. It was terrible.
Okay, question, and we will get into this in another podcast. But
my mom's very black.
Yeah, I'm like, look at his complexion. Like you would be way lighter. I think I missed that.
She's black, but she's also crazy. She's a crazy person, like a for real crazy person.
Okay, so then my question was, I guess, answered by that. I was going to ask you, do you think she does it from a place where, like, motherly, in trying to protect you, she actually stripped you of everything you needed? Or do you think it was why do you think that was what she did? Was it something in her?
I think it's a mixture of her trying to protect me. So she didn't want me to be the class clown. I think she wanted me to be like a doctor or whatever.
Okay.
So I think part of that's protection. I think a little part of it's protection and natural mother instinct, but it's coupled with a bunch of projection of whatever her own issues were onto me. And I don't know her issues because she doesn't talk to me. So I don't know where any of it comes from.
So you've never had a talk with your mom?
No. Oh, no.
Okay. What, at this point, because you're very self-aware, and that's interesting to me. And I'll again put my out there because yours is out there. As much as I'm saying this, I don't talk to my dad, even though I know I need to talk to my dad. I don't talk to him because he was very much there for, I would say, all the way up till the end of middle school. He was a part of my life. And then after middle school, it's like he had my brothers, and his focus went to them. And I was fine with it because it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. You got other kids. That's chill. I'm a pretty laid back type of kid. It sucks. I wish we could have had more of a relationship, but that's cool. You got them, you're on them. So he went to them, and then I hope he did better with them. I don't know his individual relationship between, but they seem to still be on good terms with all of them. So I assume that it's going okay. But for me, it's like I know I need to have a talk with him because I in my mind, even before all this stuff is going down, I keep telling myself, and I keep telling myself even to now, even as I say it, that I need to call him and talk to him, like just as a person, because I'm not going to get that chance. At some point, he's going to die, and then I'm going to be like, I told myself I was going to talk to him, and I never did. Like, I can piece together his life story, but I barely know his. Conversely, though, on the other side, and that's why I asked you about your mom, because me and my mom, we talk. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not, like, calling her up every day or every week, but it's, like, twice a month. We have a talk. She usually initiates because I'm just a bad son like that. But she initiates, and then, like, we'll talk for, like, a good couple of hours, catching up on her, on me, and we just kind of ramble. And whenever I'm in trouble, I know I can go to her first. And so it's interesting to me that my mom, like, I understand her baggage, but her baggage, her version of protecting me, where, like, it wasn't like, I need you or want you to be this. It was like, whatever you want to be, I'm going to support that. Like, it didn't matter what I wanted to be. I could have told my mom I could have been anything. Like, I want to be a janitor. I want to work at McDonald's. And she would have been like, okay, so let's maybe raise the bar on that. Maybe you could be, like, top janitor. But, like, in general, whatever you want to be, hands off, I believe in you. I'm here and I love you. The only thing my family wouldn't support is not going to college. Which, again, now that I look back on as I am now, I'm like, that one's, I kind of disagree with that premise. But that's just a whole nother topic talking about college. But we'll get there when we get there. Neither here nor there. You were saying.
So when it came to my mom, there was no place to go. So go home, dog shit. Go to school, dog shit. On the weekends, I was at home, dog shit. Got sent to basketball camp, dog shit. Terrible. And and then when it came to my dad, I know who he is, and I would see him periodically, but we weren't close enough to where that connection would happen. And he was a big sports guy, so I was like, well, this isn't going to work. So there was no safe place. No, nowhere, none. The safest place was church, and that was filled with a bunch of crazy white people who, I'll tell you stories in high school, but middle school. So racially speaking, all of the black kids from LA, all the people from LA started to come down to start to migrate to this area around middle school. And it created this crazy racial tension. The black kids and the Mexican kids didn't fuck with each other. There was a point in middle school where there was there's this thing that I don't know how it got started, but basically if you were Mexican and you saw a black kid with a big white t-shirt, which is what we all wore at the time, you go after that kid. I don't know why. I don't know what the logic was. It came from LA, but that came down to us. Huh. And so that was a thing. So we had these racial brawls between blacks and Mexicans, whites and blacks. And I remember, did I tell you about the first skinhead story I had to deal with?
No.
Okay. So I'm
of first.
Yeah. It doesn't get any better from here. So
how do you find yourself running into skinheads so much? I've never run into a skinhead in my life.
I don't know. This is why in my head this is why I'm always like, I want to be other people. I don't know what I did. Like when I was born, I don't know what gypsy shit happened, what curse that got put on my head. I really don't, but get ready. So
okay. I'm adjusting a light real quick. I'll do. Okay. I'm in the room.
So I had to stay after school for math because I was terrible at math. And so all the kids were gone. Everyone was gone, and I was walking home. My school wasn't that far away from my home. And so I leave the school and walking back, and there was this group of like 4 or 5 kids. Do you remember Kids Next Door?
Yes.
Do you remember the delightful children from around the lane?
I do.
Okay. Do you remember the visual of them at all?
I remember they were essentially the Kids Next Door as an amalgamation of clump
When you
together.
get a chance, if you can now, if you have a computer next to you or whatever,
I do have a computer.
Google them, and you'll visually see what I was experiencing as a kid.
Okay.
So these group of kids, they're all dressed in black. I remember they were all dressed in black, and the leader was the shortest one. And they were saying something to me. I couldn't hear what they were saying as I was walking away. So they were saying something, and I turned back, and I was like, well, I can't hear what they're saying, so I'll go back over to them. Very innocently, I was like, I'm going to go back over to them. I'll hear what they're saying, and then I'll go back. As I'm walking closer, I realized that the main kid, the short one, the little one, is saying nigger over and over and over. He's just saying nigger, nigger, nigger over and over again. And so as I'm walking back and I realize like, oh, they're not friends. We're not.
We are buddies.
Yeah, they weren't trying to have a conversation with me. Then I realized that the little one also had a cleaver. He had like a big butcher knife. I don't know why he had a big butcher, like a huge one.
Jeez.
Like Anthony Bourdain butcher knife. And so I remember that clicked. So it was like the what he was saying clicked. And then immediately after I was like, oh, he has a knife. I'm walking into a goddamn death wish. That's what I'm doing. And I remember being like, yep, okay, I'm a nigger. All right, have a good day, guys. I'm not doing this.
I'll take that and believe it with my life.
Yeah. Like I had gotten used to like understanding the level of violence and insanity that comes from these people, so that I knew like there's no reasoning with these people. They're crazy. They're out of their minds. And so I was like, okay, yep, bye. And I went back into the school, snitched immediately. And proud of it. I would never be like, yeah, nigga, I took them all. It's like, no, that's dumb. You go back and tell a goddamn teacher is what you do.
Especially in middle school.
Yeah. So I go back and I'm like, you need to send somebody. There's some crazy shit, guy. I'm not walking home. So I sit in the office, principal's office. My mom comes in and she opens the door. First thing she says is, what did he do? And she walks in. And the principal had to be like, yeah, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything wrong.
What did he do?
And so my mom had talked to me about this shit. Like the first time I got called a nigger that I can remember, that day, I don't think I told you about this part, the elementary school part of it. So I'm getting called a nigger by my neighbor. He's yelling at me, screaming at me, telling me to like get the fuck away from his son. Don't ever come down here again. Just go back to Africa or whatever. My mom comes down.
All the classics.
Yeah, my mom comes down. She's screaming at him. By the way, I'm a kid, so I don't know why anyone's mad. She grabs me by my arm and she drags me back up the street. And she's yelling at me about how I can't go back down there. But she, at no point, in my memory, at no point does she ever say, here's why. She doesn't calm down and say, here's why that guy's wrong. All she said to me was, you're not going back down there. And in my head, I was like, I was just playing basketball. Like, I didn't understand that, like, I didn't do anything wrong because of the way she's reacting to me. Right. So in middle school, that happens, and that just ramped up my Malcolm X mentality. And that frustrated me even more because then I would go home, couldn't talk to anybody there. I would go to school, nobody related to me there. I would go to church, I would try to talk about this there, and they would be like, I don't understand your issue. You're overblowing it. And so after a while, and this is my entire life up until this point, so after a while, you start to feel crazy. You start to feel, you have this disconnect with your own identity. You start to feel like maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe, like no one seems to be understanding me here. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And that's where I was in middle school. The end.
Okay. Man, great timing. So we're going to cut here. Then we're gonna start back up. I'm probably gonna put these together for the people who aren't here. But don't worry, for those of you who are in the chat, we're gonna leave the chat. We're gonna come right back to the chat. This is because Instagram only takes you to an hour, and so we're gonna close this one, open up a new one, and then we'll finish out high school and college, and then say where we are now. Maybe that was something.
Chelsea, I'm gonna acknowledge this in the next video.
Okay. So all of that and more in like a second. All right. See you guys on the other side if I can find out. There we go. Okay.
High school.
High school.
Your high school experience or mine?
I started last time you started.
My high school experience, by this point, I had realized like um, performance was my thing. It clicked like I need to do this. And there's a whole story behind how I got into improv and theater. So if you want to hear it, I can tell you. But basically, I started doing improv when I was a freshman in high school, and I did not stop. I got into film a lot more. I wanted to be an actor, specifically at the time. And I was still having the racial issues. You know the stabbing joke that I said?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the story behind that?
Not the full story now.
I'm going to tell you very short. It is one of the few things I try not to talk about too much because it's not a fun memory.
Okay.
And if I'm being honest, there's piece of my memory that's like I don't remember a lot. But essentially, I was a freshman. I think I was saying I was going into freshman year, something like that. It was a summer, and I was walking down the street. A group of young ruffians, if you will, accosted me. I remember feeling like a sharp pain in my back. I don't think they were trying to hurt me. I think once they realized, like, oh, this has gone way too far, they ran off. I knew that if I had gone home, my mom would have not helped. She would have made it even worse. She would have screamed at me, and I would have gotten yelled at. So I went to the Kohl's nearby, the bathroom, and I just waited, and then I went home. It wasn't a deep thing. It wasn't like a life-threatening thing, luckily. So I was okay, and I'm fine. But that is basically the summary of it.
Interesting.
Yes, and the main reason, and I'm going to summarize this as well, the main reason I don't particularly enjoy talking about it is because I don't want to glorify it.
Yeah.
I remember afterwards, I felt this, after everything had settled down, the dust had calmed, I had felt this level of pride in it. There was this feeling of like, well, am I black enough now? And yada, yada, yada. And I love rap music. I still love rap music to this day. Either way, that's just, yeah, it was pretty scary. But there's this thing about like, nigga, I got shot 12 times, cuz, and it's like, that's not good. That's not a good thing. And it took me a while to realize, like, not only do I not need to talk about it because it's not fun, but it's coming off as I'm glorifying or I'm saying that's okay, and it's not.
Right.
And so it took me a while to come to this place of like, first off, it's not your fault. At the same time, it's not something to be proud of. Leave it at that. And that's kind of where I've left it.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then I got arrested my first time when I was in high school. You got arrested?
No, I have not been arrested, but I have been talked to by the police. That comes up in college because we'll get there, but I'll tell you this part of it because we're in the high school period. Like I said, elementary school is when I started to realize I love women. Middle school is when I am having a hard time, like, getting over that all the nervousness of it. High school is like I'm pushing it. I'm pushing past it. I'm like pushing myself to do things. And then college is me taking that to the nth degree and the struggles that come from that. High school for me as a whole, pretty chill. I don't have that thing of like, I mean, the only thing I wish had gone better was my dating life, but in general, like, I don't look at high school as this, like, oh, that was the worst time of my life, or it was the best time of my life. It just was a section of time. I had to do schoolwork, which wasn't cool, but my friends were there, so that was, like, and there are some stories that come from both dealing with my white group of friends and dealing with my black group of friends, and this girl that I took on it. Again, I took several girls on dates who didn't want to be my date. It's this weird, again, we'll get into that. But overall, that's when I got into performance, as it were. Don't get me wrong, as a kid, I was always put in like church plays. Like I was in a lot of those. I was forced to memorize certain scriptures and then perform them for the church and all the stuff. And I was always relatively good at it. My memorization game was pretty on lock. But my acting and all that stuff, I didn't get into forensics until I was, I don't know, most people don't know that forensics is competitive acting. And I was one of those people. Like, it's forensics and debate. And they were like, they're like cousins. They're like sisters who are always happening at the same time. And everybody knows debate is like freaking debate. It's debate. But forensics feels like, oh, you must be dissecting bodies or something. It's like, no, forensics for high school level forensics is like competitive acting. So you would get like a script and you would choose your own. You would choose your own script and then you would interpret it and then you would perform that for like a little classroom of like somebody's parent or something, and like other people who are also going to perform theirs. They would say who was the best at doing it, and then you would move on to the next round, and then the rooms would get bigger and bigger until you reach finals. Then you perform for pretty much everybody, and then at the end of that, they say who's the best. People get medal first, second, and third, and that was that. So that was my first soiree into like performing. I thought it was fun. It was fun to do once I got a duo partner, which was one of my friends, one of my close friends at the time, this girl named Mallory, one of the funniest people I know. And to this day, I still hold her as one of the funniest people I know. But like, we used to just crack up making our own jokes. It was less about winning. We wanted to win. That would be cool if we got a reward. But like, it was mostly about us like making whatever script we found fun. And like, we did one that was Jumanji. We did the Gingerbread Man, but we did our spin on it. If you really want to see it, it's actually on my old embarrassing high school YouTube page, because I also was into vlogging at the time, because having been born in the 90s, growing up in the 2000s, and then the early 10s was when YouTube really started taking off for people and being like a career thing you could do. And I got really into vlogs. And so I figured I could do that, just carry around a camera and talk to it. But it's like a high schooler doing it. So if you want to see some cringe stuff of me and like get a real good picture of what I am, just like Google Chris Rimson Raytown High School. You'll find my entire YouTube channel. And in that YouTube channel, we recorded our bit one time through because we were going to state, and you can watch the entire bit. But it was fun. It was cool. Again, that's pretty much my entire high school experience in rounds. Was just like, I like hanging out with my friends. I would hang out with my friends, make a bunch of corny jokes, and then I would go to school, do homework, obsess over some girl that I really want to talk to, don't talk to her, and then go home, think about how I could talk to her, hang out with friends, and that cycle continues until eventually I break through that, and then I work up the courage to say hi to that girl, and then I work up the courage to ask her if she has a boyfriend, and at that point, it was pretty much that's as far as I ever did anything in high school, because usually if I didn't get a like, oh, she's not into it from the hello or me saying she was attractive, then by the time I asked if she had a boyfriend, she'd usually say yes, whether it be because she did or because I'm a creep and she wants me to go away. Then that pretty much was it. And then I would go about my day and I would go back to being with my friends and chilling. And I also did soccer at the time, but I wasn't like, I just did it to do. Like, again, other people did things to win and like get the letter and like have the medal, but it was something to do. I liked soccer, so I did it for fun.
Well, for me, high school, just take everything I said from middle school and then ramp it up a little more and a little more. And that was high school. I started doing theater, which was good, but racially, I was still frustrated. Sex and girls, I was getting more and more, like I had gotten a girlfriend, I gotten two throughout high school, and that sexual pushing kept getting further and further. I definitely hit all of the bases. And over time, all of that, I think I said this to you, but basically all of that creative energy that could have gone to stand up or art got put into girls, and how do I attract them? And I put the way I seem to analyze stand up when you listen to it was the same thing I did, but with girls, which is why I'm very confident in my stand up, is because I did the same thing with girls. I analyzed it. I figured it out every fucking angle, and then I got good at it. And so now the same logic goes with stand up. But I want to say, everything got ratcheted up. I want to say in my junior year, I think was the closest to me killing myself.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. My
I
mom
guess
was.
that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know why my brain was like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that sadness got ratcheted up. Oh, he must have been fine. He must have been, I'm sure that worked out great.
Yeah.
No,
No, it's
that
bad.
makes
Like my mom was just. It was like hell because from being very, very little, starting to feel that sadness and that anxiety and not understanding it, then seeing everyone else seeming to be fine, and then it not getting better. It just getting worse and worse and having no understanding that, like, oh, it's because you're living with a crazy person, like a real legitimate crazy person. And the behavior was insane. I couldn't, and I would try to explain it to other people, and then they would meet my mom. But my mom's a nice person for the most part if you meet her. So they would be like, I don't understand your issue. So I would feel even crazier. I would feel like, oh, something's wrong with me, clearly. And so that was about the closest I was to killing myself. And I didn't, obviously.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
Man. Hey, did you guys know Aaron didn't kill himself? That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you did the Jesus thing. I thought you like ended it and then were like, ah, this isn't for me. And you came back.
Yeah. That would have been kind of cool. But yeah, and I can get into the details of it as the podcast goes on, but essentially you can look at my middle school. Everything I said for middle school turned up. I'm not you, so I don't know what you felt, but like I feel you. But like I feel you.
Oh, by the way, I learned in downloading the thing that no, you can't see the chat. So
Oh,
when
that's
it's
what
edited,
weird.
they won't be here.
Oh,
But it is good that it's good that you naturally read them first and then react to them out loud. And
right.
I'm kind of the same way, so it'll work. It'll be fine. It's just letting you know that when you watch that back, it's gonna be you looking down and saying it, and it's like, where's he getting this from? It's like there is a chat. We live stream these again, if that's not obvious by everything on the front half.
So but yeah, it just got ratcheted up. It just got turned up and it got worse. And then that is, I mean, we'll get into stories, I'm sure, later when we do more episodes. But that was high school. It just kept turning up and turning up. And then college, it's going to get turned up even more, but less racially, which was nice. But sexually and with girl, it gets turned up even more.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Mine's was mine's weirdly, it's like it went up, but not, I don't know how to explain it. It's like if elementary was like, I like girls, then, I mean, I just had the classic, I like that we're explaining freaking adolescence. Like it's nobody understands the concept of like, you were a little kid and then hormones happened and stuff got weird. It's like that whole thing. I would definitely describe the trajectory as up. Like that's what it is. My obsession with them started going up. Where it's like it was like I like girls, I love girls, I can't stop thinking about girls.
Yeah.
And so like high school is, like I said, is like if middle school was like me hanging with my friends and then like sometimes I'd occasionally think about my crush. High school was like me hanging with my friends and I would just think about this one girl and what I would do if I could and if I had the chance. And again, I was more on the sweetheart side where it's like I don't even need that much. And I just want to like hold her hand, or like we just like watch a movie. It'd be nice to like have her lean on my shoulder. That's like really nice. Like I wasn't even thinking, like, don't get me wrong, like obviously I wanted to kiss girls, but I wasn't thinking like that's what I wanted. It's just like a part of it. It's like that's as nice as if I like held your hand and walked down the freaking hallway. That'd be cool. And I just like literally even saying it is like, this is exactly how, like it's just like automatic shoulder shrug. Like I don't know, man. I don't know. I just like it's like I like you. And so but yeah, it was, in doing so, it's this weird combination because that's kind of how you should feel it's like it's delayed. It's like that's how I should have felt in middle school, and what I felt in college I should have felt in high school, which is kind of more just like, well, then go do something about it. Then don't just sit here. You gotta try stuff. And so I'm what I would call a late bloomer, which is why that is a whole thing. why it is, because it is weird to watch a high schooler act like a middle schooler, like, and that's again progresses throughout it. Um, as far as again race stuff, I would say it got way less in high school, but that's because it was a predominantly black high school, followed by white. Again, there were a lot of white kids, but then sprinkled in every other race. So again, I got a good little mix. And I had my white group of friends. I had my black group of friends, which was really like one kid who I was really friends with, and then like his friends who were chill with me. Then just to late bloomers, I can relate. Yeah, we're figuring it out later. But so white group of friends, and then I had like two sections of white friends. I had like my section of white bros, and then my section of my like what I would call my like more feminine energy white friends. Like Mallory came
Gays.
from my feminine energy white friends.
The gays.
No, because like there wasn't. I didn't have any gay friends until recently. Like literally,
Really?
one of my friends in college was gay, but he didn't know he was gay until we graduated. And then he started experimenting, realized that he's my first gay friend. I never had any problems with gay people. They were all fine and it was chill. But like, they never were in my bubble. But I say feminine because it was mostly girls. It was my friend Mallory, my friend Rose, uh, this dude Dean who was really cool, but he also was like kind of like a softie. Like it was more of my nice, like soft boy energy. If you saw the main group of kids I hung out with, the joke that my black friends would make up about my friends that I hang out with is, as much as it's very on the nose, they look like who does the school shooting. Like
I
it
can
was
see.
like skinny white kid, really burly big white kid, and kind of loner, could be stoner but doesn't do drugs white kid. And that was who I surrounded myself with. And my blackness surprisingly only came up like once in a blue moon, very, very rarely. And that was it. And in general, they were really chill. I love those guys. It was a lot of fun. Again, they're all over the vlog because those were my friends and we kicked it and we were chill. They didn't say anything. They didn't treat me any differently. Like at most, and if in a little bit of the way, like again, in the way that like we said, how I get it, they get it. Like each person in our group had a thing. So like, uh, I can't even tell you what my thing is because it was less that. It got more that. Again, if we're talking ratchet it up, if I'm talking about like joking and teasing my friends, the teasing went way up in college. Like in college, we freaking go in and roast each other. In high school, it's like, yeah, to make the joke that you're homeless. Like, you're homeless. You look like the Undertaker from wrestling. And so I called him Undertaker. And then like, you're kind of like this. Like, that was my main friend group. But like, the best. The but yeah, so that was my main friend group, and then Mallory was like second, and then the black friends were like my third, but each one had their place, and it was fine. It was chill. Again, a lot of my experiences, the only quote unquote bad experience I had was the summer. The summer from 8th grade to 9th grade, I went to summer school, and this one dude, it was like the only bully experience I ever had. This one dude like decided that I was gay and like just kept going like you're gay, like you're gay. And
He
at the
made the
time,
decision for you.
and I was like, I'm not. Yeah, it was like he was just coming at me, and it was like at the time I was like, oh, dang it, I'm not. This is. I don't know what to do. He's really hurting my feelings. And like I would go home and just like deal with it. And then I can't remember what came first. I think I went home and I did. That's what it is. I went home and I told my mom about this dude, and she got into mama bear mode. And it's like, who doing that? Like I will come up there. I will come up there and I'll tell some little high schooler off. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And I was like, it was at that moment I was like, okay, I gotta do something because I don't want my mom to come up to the school. So I'm like, okay, next time he says something, it's just gonna be it. It's gonna be it. So he, of course, that lunch. It was always at lunch because I never had any classes with him. It was just at lunchtime. So he's sitting at our table because everybody sat at the same place. And I don't know why we kept sitting with the dude that like is making fun of us, but like we kept sitting with him. And then this day he sits in the spot that I always sit in, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, you're in my seat. He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you're in. No, I put my bag on the seat. and my bag was moved and put to the side, and he was sitting where I put my bag. And I was like, you're in my seat. He's like, no, I'm not. It's like, no, you moved my bag. You're in my seat. And you could feel I was getting amped up. And he was like, yeah, get out of here. Like, get out of here. Like all this stuff. And I'm like, no, you're in my seat. And then my friend comes up and he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, yo, he moved my stuff. He's in my seat. I'm sick of his stuff. And then my friend is like, no, I moved your bag. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I put it there. I was like, oh. And like all of my steam just like, and I was just like, okay, well then I guess I'll sit down. And then the dude laughed at me and I was like, yeah, this is deserved. But then after that, it was like a very classic like Nickelodeon Nick Jr. moment, because after that he never really made fun of me. Like he was like chill after that for some reason.
He could feel that like you were ready to fight if that was what it came to.
If what it came to, I was ready at that point. But then he didn't, and then it didn't go down, and then he was just chill. I never really dealt with him, but that was the closest to a bully situation that I ever came to. And after that, even now, I look back at that moment and I really don't see it as bullying. I see it more like I just didn't have the jokes. Like I wasn't used. I didn't have the fight to be like, oh, I'm gay. Yeah, you like that, huh? Like just something to fight back with. And so I'm just taking hits. And so like that's why I got to that point. But, like that's the closest I ever came, and that was high school. And and this one time, there was another time I almost got into a fight, but it wasn't. I would absolutely got mobbed by this dude. There was no world. Like, at least with that guy, even though he was bigger than me, there's a world where I could possibly outmaneuver him. This dude that I almost got into a fight with later, which ironically was also on some gay stuff, because we were in the hallway practicing forensic stuff, and this dude was coming out of gym, and he's like buff, and I'm like, man, I respect that. Like, he looks muscular in the way I would like to be muscular. I'm like, hey, man, you're killing it. Your body's on point. Like, something to the effect of, like, your muscles are sick. Like, I like what you're doing with your body. And he was like, what? I was like, no, you look good. He was like, no, man, get out of here with all that. And I was like, okay, weirdo. And so I go back to doing, like, forensics. He goes down the hall, disappears. I get into my classroom, like this is like in the course of 5 minutes. The bell rings. I get into my class. No, not the bell rings. I get into my classroom. It's 5 minutes until the bell. Everybody in my classroom keeps coming up to me and is like, did you talk to so-and-so? Like, what did you say to him? I was like, what do you mean? I said this and that. It's like, he wants to kill you. Like, he's like, duh. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I just said this. He's like, no, man, he doesn't like that. And then like one of my friends came to me, he's like, that dude beat up a girl. I was like, oh, he beat up a girl? He don't care at all about me. I'm getting concerned. And I'm like, okay, guess I just go to my next class. I go to my next class, bell ring, we're sitting there chill. And then over the speaker intercom, I hear like, hey, can Chris come to the office? I'm like, all right, cool. So I go to the office thinking everything's chill. My cousin's in the office with one of the principals. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, I'm concerned. And she's like, did you talk to so-and-so? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you need to stay away from him. He's crazy. Like, certifiably crazy. You can't take this, bro. Like you don't understand what he's doing. Like, this all happened in like 15 minutes. It went around the school and then got to my cousin, who wasn't even, she's not in my class. She's a grade below me. Yeah. So that means it spread so hard and fast to the grade beneath us that she got concerned, went to the thing, told them, and then my mom called like way later and she was concerned. They were like, just avoid him. And I was like, all right, okay. I mean, I guess. And then nothing came of that. But that was a lesson in like, oh.
In the future, what school and or movie theater did he end up shooting up?
He didn't actually. I don't know where he went or what he's doing. I can't assume good things, but that's also, to be fair, it's that thing is like, again, here we go, glass half full, is like, I assume that he was dealing, obviously he's dealing with his own stuff. And that was my main argument. Nobody was, you know how we talk about the fact that like, it's a very logical argument that you're making, but like people aren't logical all the time. And so it doesn't click. I was making the very logical argument that he should be able to take a compliment from another man without getting that mad. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense that he got that mad because the man complimented him. Even if I am gay and I was coming at him, just saying, thank you, I'm not into it, is fine. But the fact that you need to assert the dominance that, like, you're not gay, you're so not into it that you will beat me up for complimenting you, for thinking that you might take a compliment even. That you have to do that says so much about, like, A, your mentality, and B, what's going on inside of you. Because I can't imagine getting that worked up about it.
After
But
we after we go off live, can you tell me his name so we can look him up?
I actually don't remember.
Ah,
That's how rose-colored glasses my life is. I remember that moment.
yeah.
I don't remember his name or his face. I literally just remember I gave him a compliment on his body. He was more fit than me, and everybody else getting concerned about it. But, like, nothing else. Nothing else. Like, it went right out. Like, after a week, I think it was like maybe a week or two, right out. Now, to be fair, I'm sure that energy did go somewhere. I'm sure he's not in a great place. Like, that doesn't get solved overnight. That takes a level of deep diving to possibly pop out.
Yeah.
But I don't think that didn't seem like the energy of somebody that pops out, especially when you talk about the secret homophobia in the black community. But, like, it's that whole thing, and so, it wasn't.
How do you feel about stopping here in the next episode being all college?
I'm fine with that.
Only because I'm very sleepy.
Okay, that's fine. I actually got to get back to a friend. I told her this would be an hour and a half, and I think we went over by another hour. So
I can see that.
it's all good.
So we'll set up another day. We'll bother people and all that stuff.
All right, so let's end it off on this. Next episode, we're going to be talking about college life, all the things that went into that, how that formed us as people. And real quick, this is Aaron Chase. He might be over here or over here. I haven't decided which one yet. But this is Aaron Chase. You can follow him at
Aaron Chase 91
on Instagram, and you can follow me at @0_KR anime, named Zero Rimpson. You can also follow the YouTube page, and you can watch this on Buddy System YouTube. Just do a search Buddy System. It should be up by this Friday. That's what I'm hoping that I'll get the edit out. It should be good. I'm trying to think any other notes. We're gonna try to do this We're gonna try to do this. We're gonna try to upload a new one on Saturday and do one on Friday, but this one counts for this week. So, while we will try to do one on Friday, as far as actual live stream, when it goes up will be on Saturday. So hold out for that. We will find a name for this eventually.
Yeah.
So for right now, it's just first episode of Aaron and Zero. All right. So